free home before Halloween. Good Friday's coming with a ride to see the two a piece, man. Truthfully, I should be riding Thriller, but the company that I'm keeping up, lead.
That was LTtheMonk, the London, England-born hip-hop artist now based out of Hamilton, Ontario, with one of his new singles, Everybody Wants Some, off of his upcoming album, On the Wall, due to drop in August of this year. LT grew up in Beckenham, a small town in Bromley, one of the boroughs of London in the UK. Music has always been a big part of his life, but he fell in love with hip-hop when he stumbled upon Twista's Sunshine music video while channel surfing at the tender age of 7. Something just clicked, and he knew right then and there that he needed to become a rapper. When it came time to apply for colleges, LT knew that North America would give him the best chance at making a career in hip-hop. And because of Canada's more lenient immigration policies, picked us and bought his plane ticket right away. He studied music in Hamilton, where he would meet the members of the band that he performs with at his live shows. In the last year, LT landed a record deal with Hamilton-based label and management company Sonic Unyon, becoming their first hip-hop artist. He's been working hard on the final touches on his upcoming album On the Wall, which is a nod to his inspiration, Michael Jackson's infamous album from the 90s, Off the Wall. Join me as we learn a little bit more about LT and his journey in life and hip-hop. Cool, man. How's it going, LT? How are you?
Good. I've just been watching all of the Harry and Meghan Markle stuff. So that's been really, really interesting to keep up with.
Yeah. My girlfriend was watching the interview with Oprah yesterday or the day before, I think.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff happening there, man.
Well, yeah, and the British media response has been crazy as well. I was just watching Piers Morgan. He walked off Good Morning Britain, which is like the UK's version of the Good Morning America.
Okay.
So he walked off of that because he said he was completely offended by people saying that he was diabolical because he was really going at Meghan. So it's just been great drama to watch.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me today. I was actually really excited when Delton emailed me. I always love the people he brings me are always so interesting to talk to. So I was really stoked on this, and I've been listening to your stuff and just got more excited. So
Thank you. No, I'm really excited to be speaking with you.
Yeah, man. My first question to everyone is just how the pandemic has been going for them. Like, how are you dealing with everything?
I think in terms of live performances, that's been the most difficult part, because a huge part of everything for me is the performing with my live band on stage, because that's something that's a really good contrast with my recorded music, that all the music that you hear on Spotify and everything, those are the producers that work digitally, but on stage I have my keyboard player, my drummer, my bass player. So we have a really great energy, and we haven't been able to perform apart from, like, we did one show during the summer when regulations were loosened.
Right.
So, but apart from that, we haven't been able to perform. So that's been tough. But on the good side, really, in terms of, just before COVID hit, that's when I just finished all of the new album.
Right.
So it was good in the sense of it gave me more time to really practice the album thoroughly, to add all of the different little touches to it. So by the time it got to us recording in the late summer, then the album really was a full piece coming together. So I've even though it's been bad in a lot of senses, having more time has been good.
Right. Have you been writing a lot during all of this time too?
Yeah. I've written a lot of new stuff that will come out after this new album comes out this year. So I've still felt creative, still tried to make the most of all the situations that inspire the lyrics. But it is tough because, I can't just sit in my house and get inspiration because you need to live.
Absolutely.
To have things to talk about. So been writing, but I would like to be more social as the weather gets better.
Absolutely.
So all the topics can come back.
For sure. On that note, how do you stay motivated during lockdowns to keep working on your craft?
I think it's a lot of sports metaphors that I really work with, because I really try and see everything as, whether it's soccer or basketball or football or baseball or hockey, I really try and see the practicing, the writing as it's the off season.
Mm-hmm.
And when the season comes back, then I want to be in that starting lineup.
Gotcha.
I want to be competing for the MVP. I want to be going for the championship. So that keeps it in my mind that even though it's so much, it's just creativity and you can't decide when the creativity really hits.
Right.
Sometimes I sit down to write a verse and nothing will come and I'll think, why am I a rapper? I'm awful at this. And then I take a 2-hour break, I come back and then everything just comes, a full verse will come in 20 minutes. So even though it's so much creativity and it's hard sometimes to harness it like it is just sports practice, I try and do that as much as I can, because then the motivation stays. If I'm watching a Michael Jordan documentary and then he's saying, okay, I was practicing this many hours every single day to be the best, I try and treat it like that. Right. To stay motivated.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good way to do it, for sure. I really like the fact that you are not Canadian born, because neither am I. And I love hearing people's stories with how they came here. But I want to go back a little bit and just talk about where you're from. So you're from London, from Beckenham, is that right?
Yeah.
Beckenham, London. You made your way to Canada in 2017, yeah?
Yes, I did.
Okay, cool. All right, sweet. So tell me, how big is Beckenham?
So it's probably the borough that it's in is Bromley, which is one of the biggest boroughs in London. So it's I want to say, I don't want to be completely wrong, but I want to say in Beckenham there's maybe 100,000 people.
Okay.
I think so. I mean, either way, it was populated. A lot of people were there. So yeah, never had the vibe of the quiet small town.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And how, geography wise, just because it's been at least 15 years since I was in London, how long does it take you to get from Beckenham to downtown?
About half an hour on the train. And then that will take you to the center of everything. Okay,
cool. All right. So I have a bit of a picture here.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So tell me, when did you first start getting into hip hop?
So I was around 7 or 8 years old.
Okay.
And again, these random moments that feel like they're written in the stars, but you never know what the cause was. But I was randomly just searching through the music channels, and on the UK MTV, there was about 10 different forms of MTV. So there was the specific hip hop MTV, the specific rock MTV, all of those. So I was watching going through the channels randomly, and then I fell onto the hip hop MTV. And then I remember Sunshine by Twista.
Yeah.
That was the first time that it really hit me, that this was a thing. There was a thing called hip hop.
Okay.
And then from there, it was, when I started, it was the point of, I could never write my own songs, but I would insert my own words into other people's songs.
Okay.
So I remember Twista's Sunshine, me putting my own words in with his words, and then slowly that would turn into my own full verse. And then as I discovered other rappers like Kanye and 50 Cent and The Game, all the rappers that were big in the mid-2000s, that's when I really started writing my own stuff. And then it was just, I'm in love with hip hop, and that's the thing that I want to do.
Right. And were you making your own beats when you started making your own tracks?
No, that was still. I was, I would listen to like Through the Wire, and then I'd write my own song over that, or I'd listen to Hate It or Love It, and then write my own song over that. So it was all never anything on the production side. It was all lyrical when I started.
Okay, and is that still the same today?
Yeah. I mean, now I know music a lot more.
Right, yeah.
So when I'm with my producers, we can talk about the sound that I'm looking for and the direction that I want to go into. So it's a lot more of a collaborative process, but I'm still the writer. Someone will give me the instrumental and then I'll turn it into a song.
Okay, cool. I want to get into like who you were working with on the new album a little bit later, but So you're born and raised in London. You know, I'm assuming you decide to move to North America just because like that's where you can have a bit better of a chance at a career in music.
Yeah, especially for rapping.
Yeah,
because it's always been a funny midpoint. Because when I would go to studios in London when I first started rapping, there would be people who would say, "You sound American." Or they'd say, "Oh, you'd be really good if you didn't have your American twang." But then obviously I come over here and everyone's like, "Oh, the British guy. That's so cool. That's really quirky." And everyone just impersonates me all the time. So I think I always had that mid-Atlantic kind of voice.
Okay.
And because I was raised on the rapping of Jay-Z, Nas, all of those rappers, for me, it never really was a question of where you're going to end up, flourishing as a rapper. I think I always knew in my head that I want to be in the same location as all of those rappers.
Okay, gotcha. All right, now tell me this: why would you choose to move to Canada, and then even then, why Hamilton?
So Canada has traditionally or over the past few years, the immigration process has been a lot more kind than the US.
Right.
So when I was in my late teens, there were these different Canadian immigration companies that came over to London, and they would do seminars to try and get people to come over. So just in terms of me saying, okay, I want to be in North America, I want to be a musician, it was really taking whichever opportunity I could. But then these seminars, they were encouraging, saying, yeah, come to Canada. We like immigrants. We want immigrants. Then that's how it had ended up being a Canadian choice.
Okay.
And then Hamilton, that was really just a product of the Google search, just Googling places that I could live in. And then I knew I wanted to be near Toronto. So then, so I looked at the places that were near. Hamilton seemed cool. So then I ended up here.
Interesting. And are you a student right now?
I used to be.
You used to be. What did you study?
Music.
Music. Oh, right on.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. So have you had a chance to like spend a decent amount of time in Toronto, or?
Before the pandemic, I did. Had a good few performances there.
Okay.
And, it was really nice because it would just be completely unknown, go to a random open mic or anywhere, some promoter would say, come and perform. So I performed in 2018 at the $5 rap show, which was at Handlebar in Kensington Market. So that was a really fun time. And then a couple other places around the Kensington Market area. And then when I started performing with the band, we performed at Rivoli on Queen Street. And then we performed, or the year before that, there was a performance series called Untold Toronto.
Yep.
And we performed with that. So, we always had good experiences in Toronto, but I'm hoping that I can start visiting again a lot more.
For sure. Yeah, I only asked just because I'm not too well versed on Hamilton. I don't know the venues very well or anything like that. So, I'll probably be asking a bit more about Toronto stuff, but all good. Just based on the rappers you were listening to growing up, at least some of the ones you listed off, it sounds a lot like you grew up loving East Coast rap.
I'd say both.
Yeah.
So both coasts, but also the South.
Okay.
And I think it was just the different energies. And I think the good thing about when you're not from any of the places is you can be a nerd that dives into all of the places. Like, even though, I say I'm London made, East Coast trained to talk about my lyrical style being very East Coast, but I'm Tupac is one of my favorite people as well as rappers ever. So I was as obsessed with him and Ice Cube and Dre and Snoop and the Dog Pound, but then I would also listen to Scarface and T.I. and Lil Wayne, all the Southern rappers as much. So, real. And then the Midwest as well, Chicago. I love Common in Chicago. I love Eminem and Royce the 5'9" from Detroit. So really it was just across all the different scenes I have love for. Okay,
so why would you think that your sound, which you've mentioned is a East Coast train, so a bit more East Coast style, why did you gravitate towards that style of hip hop?
I think so. My dad, he's retired now, but he was an English teacher for 30 years. So one of the things that we really bonded over was the poetry that he was teaching and then the poetry of rapping. But then I think in terms of the most lyrical rappers that use the devices that the poets use and that Shakespeare would use, I think it was the New York rappers that really had the most link to Shakespeare and Dickens and all of those, the writers and the poets. So even though there are great lyrical West Coast rappers, there are great lyrical Southern rappers, I think everyone, whenever Snoop and Dre are talking about them blowing up in the 90s, they talk about, we wanted the respect of the East Coast.
Gotcha.
And when they talk about Lil Wayne being a lyrical rapper from the South, they link it to an East Coast style. And Kendrick said he was the king of New York. So I think it really is just in terms of poetic style, the real lyrical devices are really known as that the traits of an East Coast rapper. And, and for me, I came up with that title because I always felt that classical musicians, they had the respect of saying, I learned under this method. Or actors saying, I learned under this, like the Adler method, or the, whatever teacher that showed them method acting. It really sounded as such high culture. And you could be respected if you talked about this method that you learned under, but rappers never really get that artistic respect. So I wanted to say that there are these different styles based on the different geography, and the East Coast is where I develop my style from. Gotcha.
What inspires you to write?
Like I said earlier, just living.
Yeah.
Really. So what I always do, and it's funny, I was just thinking about this earlier, when I was 8, 9 years old, before I had a cell phone, because I'm just a little kid, I used to take a notebook everywhere. And anytime I'd get an idea, I'd be like lining up for playtime. And if someone gives me a lyrical idea, I'd write it in my notebook. And now my Apple Notes is that. And that's why I referenced it on my song Young that just came out. I'm talking about that the Apple Notes now that's just the rhyme book. So wherever I go, anytime, if I have a conversation that inspires a lyric, if I'm watching something, if I'm reading something, if something happens in life that inspires a lyric, then it just goes onto my phone and then it can turn into a full song idea later. But yeah, the inspiration really just comes from any situation I'm living at the time.
Okay. So would you say this the stuff you've been writing more recently, is that going to be more lockdown centric or?
I actually don't, and I don't think I will have any lockdown references in my songs.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, I think I was saying this to someone the other day that I think so. I was reading this amazing book. This author called Susan Fast. She wrote this book about Michael Jackson's album Dangerous, and she was talking about escapism as a concept in music. And she was talking about how a lot of people, when you talk about escapism, they think you're saying like, oh, let's throw everything away and just go live in the forest. And they think you're talking about avoiding political issues. But really, the escapism is you're taking the political issues and you're imagining what the world could be and how good things can be. So the escape is you're still in reality, but you're escaping to a better version of reality. So for me, my music as escapism, I wanted to deal with the more timeless problems and parts of society, love and race and class and success and all of that. So yeah, I don't want to talk about something that's so now that hopefully will be done soon.
Yeah.
I'd rather just stick to, say, love.
Yeah.
Because that's still going to be a thing that people are going to want to listen to in 50 years.
Absolutely.
Whereas I'm not going to want to remember COVID.
Absolutely. Okay. Totally get that. Tell me about signing with Sonic Unyon and like what they're all about, because they're I don't think a lot of my listeners would really know too much about Sonic Unyon.
So they're originally a rock label.
Yeah.
So they started in the early 90s, and why I really liked them when they started talking to me was the they had that real like 90s attitude, the real like kind of new punk, like we're not going to do stuff in the traditional way, we're going to make it happen ourselves. So they started off as a rock label, and then they started in distribution, and then over the past decade they started the management side. So then that's when I started talking to them. So Lisa, who works for Sonic Unyon, Lisa works for them. And so then she met me at my King Strings and HipHop album release party, which I did in March 2019. And then she said, are you looking for management? So that's when we started talking. And so then I signed with them in November 2019. So even though I'm the first rapper to sign with them, hip hop and rock and roll are, peas in a pod.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel like I'm walking into some corporate like industry establishment. Right. It feels like I'm just walking into a rock label and they're saying now, let's add some hip hop into that.
And you're currently the only rapper on the label.
Yeah.
So that must feel pretty cool.
Oh yeah, no, it feels really good. I love anytime I look at where hip hop has gone from just being a house party to where it is now. I love it. So I feel so proud that I can be the first rapper on a majority rock label.
Yeah.
Or I'll be the first rapper in whatever situation I'm in. So yeah, I love that.
How has the relationship with the label been? Like, what doors have they opened for you?
I think it's just been the doors into the industry. Mm-hmm. Really, it's as an independent musician trying to get people to listen to your music. There is only so far you can go by just trying to knock every single door down yourself. And especially now, because I used to have the advantage of well, I can perform 3 times a week and walk up to every single person I meet and say, yo, my name is LTtheMonk, listen to my music. But now it really is if I'm here having to be more digital, then it's a lot more difficult to do that. So it's great to have a manager and the management team who are striving to knock down every door that they can now, and then work with people who will say, yeah, we're also going to knock doors down so people can hear your music, hear what you're trying to do musically. And I think it's really just been helping me get into the music industry so people can hear what I do.
For sure. So let's talk about the upcoming album, On the Wall. This is going to be your 3rd full-length album, right? Am I right?
I'm kind of treating it like Chance the Rapper, because he had Acid Rap, which was so he had 10 Day, which was his first project, but then Acid Rap was his first big project, and then Coloring Book was his first major endorsed project, and then his album was his first album. So he's had the advantage of everything being the first. So for me, even though this is my third full length project, I'm still treating this like my first album, because it's the first album that's ever signed to a label, first thing that's ever had a budget behind it, first thing that's ever going to be heard, hopefully, by a major audience. So yeah, I'm still thinking it's the first.
Let's call it the first. Awesome. So when will it be coming out?
So it's coming out August 20th of this year.
Okay, wicked, sweet. And how many singles will you be releasing? So there's been 2 so far?
Yeah. So it's 4 official singles. And so Everybody Wants Some was the first official single, and then Young was the B-side of that. And then there's going to be 3 more official singles, but then you're going to hear more non-single album tracks as well. So really, we're giving you a lot of the album, but it won't be in any order. It's just going to be the songs as standalone pieces. But then when you hear the album in full on August 20th, that's when you'll be able to hear the full story of the album. And then the final couple album tracks as well will come out on that day.
What was it like making an album, like you said, with a budget behind it, with the team pushing and all of that? What was that experience like?
It's good. I like the pressure. I really, I like when, they signed me and said, yeah, go and make an album, but I'm not the kind of artist who, like some of my friends who are very talented musicians, but they'll show every incarnation of the song as it's developing. Whereas I'm really in my own head. I'm really private about the lyrics. The only people that will hear the song is the person that produced the instrumental until I go into the studio, because that's when I'm really trying to impress everyone.
Yeah.
To be okay, it's done now. Now you can enjoy it. So I liked that pressure of these people, that they didn't know what I was going to come up with. They just had the faith that I could make good music. And then I go into the studio, and then that's when they hear the songs, and then it's that's why we signed you, because you can deliver good songs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that. And again, it's like the sports metaphor. It just felt like the coach saying, okay, you have the summer, go work out, get ready for the season, and I'll see you at the first day of practice. So then I wrote the album, went into my little monastery, and then came out, recorded the whole thing, and then they all liked it.
So did you get to work with any producers that you were really stoked on, or what is the process like? Are you working with one single producer? Were there a bunch of hands on this?
So there's 6 different producers in total. And it really worked out organically. It wasn't like a label wish list where I said, go out and get me this person, go out and get me this person. It was just taking some of the great producers from the last project and then really developing my relationship with them, because Lucas, who he goes by Deltoid the New as a producer, he's my drummer in the band.
Cool.
So we've been so close musically for the past few years. So then we'd already made a song together. So when it got to the summer of 2019, and then I can't remember why, but we just, I think I was just kind of like, okay, I'm in the mood to, or the label has said, go and make a new album. So I was thinking, okay, now I'm in the mood to really start looking for instrumentals. So I contacted all the producers that I like. And then me and Lucas, we started having these regular sessions. So then we kept going through instrumentals, and then his best friend and production partner, Gio, who goes by Gone Boy, and the two of them produced Everybody Wants Some together, the first single for the new album. They produced a lot of the instrumentals together, and then they'd show them to me. And then Lucas, I think he's on 8 of the 10 songs on the album. Gio, I think, is on 6 of them. And then for the rest of the songs, it was Young is produced by my friend Royos, who's still out in London. He's doing well out there. And then my friend Mally, who goes by Renderverse, he produced the intro for the album. And then my friend Luke Martins, who lives in Toronto, he produced the title track. So it was just the 6 of them. I knew the sound the whole time. And then the 6 of them, as really talented musicians, they each contributed their part to make the full thing.
That's really cool. How long have you been playing with the band?
Since our first show was September 2018.
Okay.
So like 2.5 years.
Cool.
Now.
And you were just grabbing people that you saw from the program, I'm imagining? It's everyone you know from school, or?
So the 3 of them, so Santiago is the keyboard player, and Lucas is the drummer, and Cam is the bass player. The 3 of them are 3 great jazz musicians, and they were close friends, and they all lived together. So they actually called me one day as a package, and they woke me up from a nap. I called up. I answered the phone. They called me up. I had no idea what was going on, but then they said, "Hey, we're picking you up. You're coming around to our house." So I go around, and then they'd learnt my song "Puppy Face" as with the musicians, and I'd never heard that before. I'd never heard a beat of mine as a live instrumental before, so I was sold immediately. So it was always the 3 of them just having such great musical chemistry that led them to learning all of my songs. And then I was just the 4th edition, and now we're just a great 4-piece.
So this wouldn't have happened if they hadn't reached out to you? Like, had you not considered performing with the band before?
Yeah, so Santiago he kept saying that I should.
Yeah.
But I was just a very underground hip hop nerd.
Right.
So I was really trying to find a DJ that could scratch to have the classic MC DJ partnership.
Yeah.
So it would have come maybe at some point, because I love Michael Jackson, I love Prince. So I think at some point in my career I would have thought, and even Jay-Z and Drake, now that they're selling out stadiums and arenas, that they want to have full bands. But it was really just the amazing persistence of Santiago, who said, no, your music, your style needs to be with a live band. And I think as well, it just worked out so perfectly, because at the same time, or even before I fell in love with hip hop and started rapping, I was a dancer. And so the 2 things had always been in tandem, rapping and dancing. But having the band and exploring the groove of all of the songs, that's really allowed me to dance and be a dancer on stage. And you'll see that with the new album as well, that the more dancey songs in the videos, like, it really brings out that side of the craft as well. So just that it worked out so well to allow me to be the dancer on stage as well as the rapper.
That's cool. Yeah. All right. I was going to ask you what that relationship is like on stage, but yeah, I think you just answered it. It just allows you to just be in the moment, I guess, a bit more and really feel the groove. Because I think that's something and I might be eating my words here, but this is just my opinion. I think, having gone to a few rap shows, I've always preferred the ones where there's live instrumentation happening. There's a different vibe. There's a different energy in the room, I think, when that's going on. And I'd imagine just being the front man on stage with a band behind you, it's just got to be like next level.
Oh, definitely. And it's for so many different reasons, because one thing I love is how people will, it's like a boy band where, like, the teens all love a different member of the band. Like, if say it's like BTS, like one girl will love this guy, one girl will love this guy. So it's so great that at the end of the shows, I would walk off stage and then everyone would be there to, congratulate me and talk about what they liked. But then people will go up to Cam and say, yo, this bass line was amazing. And then people will go up to Santiago and they'll say, oh, that keyboard solo you did, that was amazing. And then people will go to Lucas and say that the groove, the time that you kept is amazing. So I love that. But then exactly as you're saying, it's just the energy in the moment when there's a lot of improvisation there. So they'll do things that I don't know they're going to do. So then that will bring out a new move from me or a new, I have to do something. So that's always really exciting. And when there's a rapper who's performing over a track and they're just like miming along or they're just doing the ad libs, like, I don't care about that. I want to see an actual performance. Right. Because, when I was growing up, I was just watching like Motown documentaries all the time. So I felt like I was raised by real performance, and you have to actually be dope on stage. And the same is like the birth of hip hop as well. If you're not good on stage, then why are you on the stage? Yeah. Other rappers will be there to take your place. Like, the whole point of being a rapper is I'm offended that other people are daring to be rappers, get off the stage so I can get on and move the crowd. So, I've always had that. So I think that, why just mime to a track when you can have a full performance, and even better when you can have these three musicians with you that turn it into such a great experience. Right.
Can you tell me what track you're most proud of the upcoming album?
I'm most proud of a track called Mandy Moore. Okay. And so that is, have you ever seen the show This Is Us? Yeah. Yeah. So that really inspired me because for anyone who hasn't seen the show, it's about a white couple, and they start off having triplets, but one of the triplets dies. But on the same day, there's the little black baby that's left at the hospital, and they adopt the child. But why I really resonated with that show and with the black child's journey especially is because as he was going throughout his childhood, he'd get out of the pool and his skin would be really ashy. Mm-hmm. And they think, do we put sun cream on it? Like, they didn't know you have to put moisturizer, and they didn't know what to do with his hair. And one, that really stuck with me because being mixed race and black in a majority white part of London, definitely felt like as I was learning myself, as I was growing up, then people didn't understand in the same way the things that I was going through. But then how I specifically took it, related to it for this song, is I treated Randall, the black character, and his mum trying to learn how to deal with him. I took that as a metaphor for black artists in the white pop world. And it's like that cautionary tale of me saying to the white pop world, you're going to adopt me, and I hope I'm seen as the new black pop star. Mm-hmm. You're going to adopt me, but please don't deal with me in a way that makes me go crazy.
Right.
So because when you look, and I don't mention anybody by name in the song, but when you look at the people that have come before, the black celebrities and stars that have been truly embraced by the white world, like Tiger Woods, who just had the another car crash.
Yeah, I know.
And
awful luck, eh?
Yeah. So when you look at his journey, when you look at Kanye's journey, even like OJ, when you look at their journey, being the black star that gets so taken in by the white world, then you see, like, do you lose yourself? What really happens? And then you end up having the car crashes and the public divorces and the feuds and the criminal trials and all of that. I was really trying to say to this pop world that I hope takes me in, I don't want to end up like that. Mm-hmm. So please take care of me like Mandy Moore takes care of her child in the show.
Okay.
So yeah, if you watch the show, you'll really see what the metaphor is.
That's really cool, man. That's really cool. I love how deep that got. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like each song is even though it stands as a full album story, I like to go the Michael Jackson technique, where every song could be a standalone single. Right. So it has to be just as deep as a single song piece as it is as part of the album story. So I'm really proud of that. But then the next single that's coming out, a song called Dark Italians, I'm so proud of that as well, because I noticed that hip hop has had such an obsession with mafia and mafioso culture, but no one's ever made the link with black rappers always being obsessed with the mafia, and the fact that Sicilians, where the mafia was started because they were invaded by the Moors of North Africa, they have African blood as well. And Northern Italians are racist to Southern Italians, and they get called black racial slurs. So no one's ever made that link about Southern Italians being dark, and then the dark rappers that pretend that we're in the mafia. So I made this song called Dark Italians, where I sink into the Godfather character and want to be the new Godfather, especially because Hamilton's one of Hamilton's sister cities is a place called Recalmuto, which is in Sicily. Okay. So a lot of Hamilton's Italian community are Sicilian.
Yeah.
So that song is really a piece, like a dedication to hip hop and Italy's link. So you'll see all 10 songs on the album really have a good story.
Yeah, that's really cool. I feel like for the launch party, you should totally give a backstory to each track.
Yeah, I want to do that. And that's why on the website Genius, I annotate all of my lyrics myself, because the songs are so deep. Right. So you have to, like, I can't be like, I can just talk to you for an hour per song with this is the meaning, this is the wordplay. So I wish I could do that. Just like break down every single song so thoroughly in conversation.
Yeah. Well, if we're still in like lockdown mode, you can probably just do like a live Q&A or something like that. That could be cool.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I would love that. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Cool. I want to chat about just like kind of music in general. I want to get a sense of what the Hamilton hip hop scene is like. What's going on down there?
It's a good scene because there's a lot of the older guys who are more like traditional boom bap, and then that blends with my friends who are more like still lyrical, but they're a lot more into the like punk hip hop. Pardon me. They're into more punk hip hop or or more trap, or like alt rock, hip hop. Like it's so many different styles in the genre. So they're really there's a great mix. But most of us come together and are friends as well. So yeah, there's a lot of camaraderie and community. There.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to like work with some of like the local, let's say GTA and include Hamilton in that, but any like local rappers that you'd like to work with?
I really like Havaya Mighty. I'd love to work with her.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah. I've been a big fan of Shard since like I think his album Soul in 2010. So I'd love to work with him as well. And then in terms of like the Hamilton rappers, I'm doing a lot of work with the good Hamilton rappers that are my friends as well. So before I released Everybody Wants Some, I had done features for, so there's my friends, Smoothie Lou, Hoss Bowman, K Triggs, Bunkin, Park from CC, Buddha Abuser, Coolface, and then there's some new rappers that I'm doing features for as well, or relationships that have just started that I'm doing features with as well. So there's a lot of good people that I either have worked with, or you'll see songs this year coming out from us working together.
What musician or band or artist has been getting you through the pandemic the most? Like, who have you been listening to the most, would you say?
Oh, my most played Spotify artist last year was Michael Jackson.
Okay.
But it's funny because I was looking back through, and I think I've majorly just been listening to his songs from the 90s.
Okay.
As opposed, because Off the Wall, that was the inspiration for On the Wall, right, along with Spike Lee's movie Do the Right Thing. So always listen to that. And then listen to Thriller and Bad as well. But in terms of my most played throughout the lockdown, it's been Michael's stuff from the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. How do you go about finding new music?
It's bad because for me, new music is the 100 years of music that I missed out on.
Gotcha. No, yeah, okay. So it could be new to you. Yeah, let's say that.
Yeah, so new, I won't go on the new music playlist, but I'll say if I watch a documentary about Teddy Pendergrass, then I'll go and I'll have to listen to all of his 5 albums.
Okay.
And then all his, his classic era albums. And then I'll be on his Wikipedia page. And then the Wikipedia will say, oh, well, look at every other Philadelphia act from the 70s. So then I'll add them to my list. And then I'll watch a documentary about Led Zeppelin. And then that'll lead me to another 20 rock artists from the 70s. And then if I'm watching a documentary about Prince, that'll lead me to all of the acts from the 80s that I should be listening to. So yeah, really it's just one artist they'll be the starting point, and then it will snowball into every other artist of the genre that I want to listen to as well.
Right. It sounds like you watch a lot of music documentaries.
Yeah.
What's the last one you watched?
The last one I watched was it wasn't about his music career, but it was about Harry Belafonte when he hosted The Tonight Show for a week in 1968. So, and that was him bringing on all of the big other political musicians and civil rights activists of the time. So I watched that, but then he was the first artist to ever sell 1 million records of an album.
Okay.
So that led me to want to listen to all of his Calypso stuff because, he came over from the Caribbean and then brought that to the United States. So so that's got me more into him.
Cool.
But then that makes me think, because he's one of the performers that I try and emulate on stage. So I think of him, and then I think of, you need to go listen to the other James Brown albums.
Right.
That you want to listen to. And then the Marvin Gaye, and then the Jackie Wilson, and the Sam Cooke. So it really just snowballs so much.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the last one I watched was the Bee Gees documentary, which was awesome. Oh, I think you already answered it, but who is the latest find?
I think the latest find, out of people that I haven't said so far, the latest find that I've really been into is Billy Joel.
Cool. Okay.
Because he was in, my favorite Disney movie is this movie called Oliver and Company.
Okay.
Which is this, it's like this cartoon version of Oliver Twist told with dogs and cats.
Yeah.
But it's set in New York in '88, and Billy Joel plays the Artful Dodger character as a dog. So, but the soundtrack that he did was, because it's a musical as well, he made it really it felt like hip hop coming in to, and modern jazz coming into the sound that he was doing.
Okay.
So I'd always known him from that, but never really listened to any of his albums. But then I started listening to The Stranger and the albums from then. And so really, really into Billy Joel right now.
Cool. Awesome, man. Sweet. LT, those are all the questions I have for you today.
Okay.
Cool, man. Wow, thank you. This was fun. This is such a very easy conversational talk. I liked it a lot.
I'm so glad.
Awesome, man. Have a great day.
Thank you.